back to Shespn. This is episode 3. And before we get started, I have something to say. It's my birthday tomorrow. And I'm turning 21.
21. Can you do
something
for me?
Yeah, but I'm excited, and I'm going to talk about it this whole episode.
Yep.
You guys thought you could get away from me singing this episode?
Never.
No.
Got 'em.
That
By
is
the
the
time
thing.
this airs, Michaela Garvin will had been 21 for a good 48 hours. So
How does it feel to be 21?
I couldn't tell you yet.
In the
I'll
future,
tell
how do you
you-
think it will feel to be
I'm
21?
thinking that I'm going to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably like 21 Savage himself.
Oh.
But that
I'm
is-
excited for you.
Thank you. That is TBD, though. We don't know how I'll feel yet.
Yeah, we'll update y'all next episode because by the time we film again, it'll been a whole weekend of being 21. So
Yeah.
she'll really have had a good
She
taste.
can shed light on the
I'll,
experience.
I'll shed some light.
She can teach us youngins about the 21st.
I'm going to be senile, and you guys are literally
Senile.
babies out
Okay,
here.
Grandma. Chill out.
Oh, she also has asthma.
I have asthma too, so don't mind it. It came back. I did persevere and survive the disease, but it came back. So
Yeah, y'all are really getting to know us better
This
every
is a
episode.
very
Yeah.
personal episode starting out.
Every episode. But I'm excited about it because I think it's almost entirely about basketball. All of our headlines are basketball, and I love basketball. So
Hannah's ready to roll.
yeah, Hannah's the
I'm
basketball
ready.
girl.
I'm so ready for this episode because there's a lot of basketball. But yeah, so first we have, it's been a big headline here recently. The Cavinder twins, Haley and Hannah, probably seen them on your For You page, all over TikTok and Instagram. They are in a little bit of trouble right now with the NCAA due to NIL infractions. So you guys hear anything about that this past week?
Just to kind of like shed light on the whole thing if you haven't been on TikTok and you haven't heard what's going on. During the Twins recruiting process to Miami, they had dinner with kind of like the main guy for NIL deals in Miami. Like if you want an NIL deal, hit him up. Like he's kind of like the god of NIL in Miami, and his name is John. And so he had dinner with them, and then a picture was posted on Twitter, and just was kind of wishing them all the best in the season, and there weren't any direct ties, but come to find out, there is some speculation that the coach connected them. And so what the issue is dealing with NIL, universities cannot connect athletes to NIL deals. That has to be completely separate from the team and the university. And I kind of read some reports that really a big issue with this is they believe the head coach put them in contact. And also, the NCAA sees John as sort of a sponsor because of how much money he's giving to programs and things.
Like a booster?
Yeah.
You'd say a booster.
I
yeah.
saw
yeah.
that they said like he's not a booster, but technically he is a booster.
They see him as a booster.
To the university. Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole situation, and as part of penalties, the Twins don't have any what's the word? Infractions. They don't
yeah.
have any penalties towards them because they see it as no harm, they didn't have bad intentions. Now, the coach has done what? A three-game suspension?
But she served that at the beginning of the season.
Way early, and then the University of Miami as a whole is under 1 year of kind of probation for a full academic year.
Yeah.
And then they had a 7% reduction on recruits, reduction of 9 recruiting days, and a $5,000 fine plus 1% of the women's basketball budget.
Which, I mean, I would imagine that budget is pretty
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure
a
it's
little percent here is not probably going to hurt Miami.
Yeah. This doesn't surprise me with the Cavinder twins that some red flags have been put up in a way, because looking back on history, they're on track to be the richest college players of all time. I mean, back at Fresno State, they accounted for about $2 million made off of NIL. And they said that their main reason for transferring to Miami was for media exposure, to get to the NCAA tournament, and to eventually make it to the WNBA. And they felt that playing at Miami gave them a better opportunity to do so compared to Fresno.
Yeah.
And even still at Miami, they're projected to make $10 million off of NIL. They've already had a deal with Champ Sports, so NIL is nothing new to them. And I think this situation is kind of a little super strict in a way. Like, it's not completely clear what went on. But, I mean, I think when you're pulling that much money off of NIL, you're going to get looked into.
Yeah, and I mean, after watching their TikTok that they posted where they were like, oh, scared that female athletes have value, like, I feel like that's a pretty petty response for a situation that is very serious on the upper levels. I mean, it doesn't feel super serious to us because we are college students. Like, they're just trying to play basketball, right?
Yeah.
But I saw somebody that was saying they are really tainting their reputation and the school's reputation, and they're not even that good.
I 100% agree. I mean, they can play ball. Like, they're Division I athletes, yes. But I think, like, you kind of look at NIL like a brand, like a player's brand, and kind of like a businesswoman. I don't think they're handling themselves as businesswomen.
And also, I saw, I think one of the twins averages like 3.7 points a game.
Comes off the bench.
Yeah. And then the other one is like 12, 10, 12.
And she started a lot.
Yeah.
The other one.
But it's just, I saw a video and it was like, if they were going to be acting this way, you would think that they would be putting up big numbers, playing lots of minutes.
Have to back it up.
Yeah.
Enough to back it up.
Yeah. Especially for that super petty response. Like,
and I think they kind of back up their doings and their actions through their TikTok following and not as much through their performance. And I know as college athletes, I'm like, be humble, work hard, and like if those things come along, great, but stay humble and work hard.
Yeah, and I mean, now they have a bunch of children backing them, and it's kind of like,
always back to the kids. Is that an example you want to set for the children?
Is that an example?
I just find it interesting that this Twitter post that's being used against the university and them was posted by this said booster, John Ruiz, I believe, who owns, I think the company is Smart Wallet. And I just find it interesting that that post was made by him.
Yeah, like he did not even see how it could be an issue.
Right.
Which is kind of funny.
I also think, like, why is it just now coming out?
Yeah,
Like,
that
if this
post was made last April when they were in the portal.
Yeah, like, why is this just now coming out and bringing to light?
Yeah, I think it's weird that the timeline is this was posted in April of 2022. The coach served her 3-game suspension, I believe, at the beginning of this season. So that season usually starts in November. And then now in February of 23, we're hearing all about it. I can't help but think, like, maybe the NCAA has been cautious about how they approach this because NIL is just kind of a tricky thing because they could easily get it flipped on them and then get sued. And so I feel maybe that, but it's still a weird timeline for all this to come out.
Do you know if the NCAA has made any recent remarks on this?
Not on this particular situation. I haven't seen anything, but I do know in January there was a new bylaw put into place that said news reports and social media postings can be used as evidence of NIL infractions.
So I'm not sure how Miami is doing in game-wise. I don't know their record. Like, I don't know if recently they're doing well in conference, if they're not. Same thing, like, I don't follow the Cavinder twins super close, but part of me kind of wonders, are they just now bringing this to light because they want the program to get more recognition? The girls want more interactions on their social medias. Like, kind of like any publicity is good publicity, kind of that thought.
Yeah. Just maybe the hoping to get looks from the selection committee?
No, I think it's probably going, I wonder if their brand in a way is struggling, so they're trying to change the narrative to get attention again.
Yeah, that could be it.
I don't know, but all good press is not good press. I'm sorry. That's how I feel.
Interactions are interactions, and I think it's very odd how it's just now coming to light.
Yeah.
When it happened beginning of the season, that'd be, what, November?
Right, months ago.
You think it would come out right when the coach
Was
served
suspended.
her time?
Yeah, why didn't we hear about any of this?
I did not hear she
then?
was suspended at all.
No, but I guess she served her time or whatever, and then it passed, and they played the rest of the season. I think they're a bubble team right now.
Yeah.
I think they might be in, depending on how they kind of do. I mean, they'll have the conference tournament as a chance too, but I've kind of just been seeing that they're not automatic in, but they could be in. I don't know. I think it is interesting that the first time we're seeing an NIL crackdown is on females, because in the top 10 of most earnings of NIL, I mean, these girls aren't even up there. They're up there in the women's side, but on the top 10 total, like Bronny James, Arch Manning, like that's the top. Those two guys haven't even played a snap.
Yeah.
And so I just find it very interesting that, I mean, surely there's got to be other infractions here.
Yeah. Like,
But
why them when you can't completely say head coach put them together? Like, sponsor and head coach put them together. I don't know. But I feel like the NCAA, like with NIL and things, like, they're in a way gonna make a point of this.
Yeah. I mean, at this level that we play at, it's not really anything that affects us. But it is just interesting to see how it's just changed the game for college athletics.
Yeah, I think especially at the D1 level, it's NIL is a huge factor.
Yeah. What we got on this one?
I think
That was a lot. I like that. I like that. I'll be interested to see what happens next. Do they make the tournament and everything?
And I'll be curious to see like what brands reach out to work with them, like what their next sponsorships are.
Yeah. Or people pull away.
Yeah.
You never know. All right. Next up, we're going NBA. Damian Lillard had a awesome performance. 71 points.
That's insane.
71. I mean, that is...
Is this NBA All-Star Weekend Part 2?
Yeah, no defense
Give him
again.
the MVP.
He deserves the MVP.
No defense again.
Give him the MVP.
But he dropped 71 against... Who'd they play on Sunday? Was it Houston, the Rockets. Yeah, they beat the Rockets. And was immediately asked for a drug test after the game.
Blood drawn.
Yeah, blood drawn drug test.
So he did have a, I don't think the drug test was a direct cause because of his performance. So the day before, he was asked to take a urine
Urine
drug
sample?
test. Yes. And then after following the game, he did have to do a blood. So I don't know if maybe there was an error with that first test, but I do kind of think it's odd that, I mean, have drug test day before, drop 71 points, and then they're asking for a blood test, which goes even deeper to look for things.
Yeah, they say it's random. I mean, they say it's
swear
random,
it's
but
not.
I mean, we talked about this last week with DK Metcalf and the Celebrity All-Star Game, but I don't know.
I also think, like, it's kind of interesting for basketball because, I mean, I get it. Like, in football, performance-enhancing drugs can make you run faster, can make you jump higher. Yes.
Yeah.
In basketball, I feel like, in a way, it's a little different because that's such a skilled sport. Like, he is somewhat, like, handling the ball. Like, it's not like there's a pill you can take that will help you make every jumper, will help you cross over the ball. So, yes, I do think that performance-enhancing drugs, yes, can be useful, but I don't know if it's as severe, like in baseball, you're jacked up to go hit homers.
Yeah. Basketball, I guess you kind of need more of like a finesse.
Yeah, like touch, skill.
Okay, Drake. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They say, I guess, that it's random. A third party picks it. It's not anything associated with the NBA or anything associated with each franchise, but I don't know how. How?
I did some digging, and this is not a new thing for the NBA. So back in January, the Cavs star Donovan Mitchell had a great game.
Yeah.
Also scored
71 points, right? Yes.
Coincidence? But he was also asked to take a blood test after a game. So this is nothing new. Like, this is kind of a repetitive pattern. And I kind of found some more situations where they've done this multiple times.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find any policy for the NBA that, like, why they go to a blood test, like what has to happen, or if that's just another random, because, I mean, that's a pretty big thing to do. Like, getting your blood drawn for a drug test, like, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny in the interview how he said, and they know I don't like needles.
Yes.
Me too.
He said, I got all these tattoos, but I don't like needles. Yeah.
I kind of thought that was funny, but I don't know. Coincidence?
I feel bad for the guy. He
I
just
know,
had
like,
71 points, and he's
stick a
pulled
needle
from
in your arm.
celebration to go get his blood drawn.
That's the price of being good, apparently. So
Yeah.
Some
don't feel bad for
consequences.
him because he's going home to that mansion.
Yeah.
Yes.
True. They want that blood.
They got that blood.
They wanted his blood.
Oh my gosh. All right. Are we good on that topic?
Back to college
Back to
basketball.
college.
Back to
Back to
college
college.
basketball.
You want me to take it?
Take it.
Okay. So back in January, I know everybody saw the headlines of the Alabama player that was arrested for
yeah.
the shooting. It was Darius Miles. Last week, it was revealed that Brandon Miller had involvement with this shooting. Now, that's really insane because he's one of the lead scorers at Alabama right now. He's one of the lead scorers at freshman scorers in basketball right now.
Yeah, the whole country.
But it turns out that he actually provided the gun that took the life of Jamia Harris. And he's still playing, and he's still going down
Yeah.
and making his mark on the school. He's even done a mock pat down as a celebration with his teammates, or like a pregame handshake.
Yeah, so it was during pregame. They were calling out the roster, and Alabama does where, like, you have the guy sitting on the bench with teammates on both sides, and there's a guy at the end that, like, you do a handshake or whatever. As his handshake was, like, the player patted him down.
Now, that to me is wild,
Yep.
out of pocket.
Yep.
But, I mean, Nate Oates, the coach, did say in an interview that it didn't have anything to do with it. It was not right, but they won't be doing it again.
And
But
it has publicly been said that he isn't in any trouble for providing the gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I guess back when when everything came out at the beginning of the shooting, that was in January. Then they go to court last week, and in the court hearing, it comes out then that Brandon Miller, star freshman, was involved. He drove the gun. I guess Miles had called Miller and said, bring me the gun. Miller drives the gun down there. The gun ultimately kills someone.
yeah.
And that was all getting brought up in court last week as they're kind of replaying the scene, showing everybody, like, this is what happened. And I guess when all this came out, Coach Oates was asked for a statement, the Alabama basketball coach, and he kind of just was real nonchalant about it, is what I saw, and kind of, well, what happens outside of basketball, what happens off the court, outside the locker room, outside of practice time, you really just can't do much about that because it's out of his control. And some people were kind of riled up about that response and didn't appreciate that response.
Because you can't be nonchalant about murder, like, especially when it was this young mother.
And no, Brandon Miller did not murder
No.
someone, but the crowd you run with
Yeah.
that says a lot about you.
Yes, and also he provided the weapon.
Yeah.
Like in any other case, if he wasn't a lead scoring freshman, amazing, blah blah blah, like, he would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Like,
And, like, kind of going back to, like, the head coach, like, those are your boys. Like, you recruited them. You're essentially responsible for them being on campus. Like, kind of what they do outside of your practice is kind of your problem.
Absolutely.
Like, if he's not doing well in class, you're going to professors being like, hey, how can we help this kid?
Yeah.
If he's not making good life choices, that's kind of on him.
Yeah. I think we had this discussion a couple weeks ago. I think that's a big difference between college and high school coaching, is that in high school, you play with the cards you're dealt with. Whoever comes up from the 8th grade, that's who you get. In college, you are flying across the country to bring these kids to play under your name. You are choosing those kids. You're watching them at a tournament or watching their film or talking with them on the phone, bringing them on a visit. The whole recruiting process was someone that you would be okay with giving scholarship money to, or giving a jersey, or giving an education, or giving an opportunity for. And so those people that you bring in, I think that says a lot about you as a coach or as a staff. Whoever brings you in, that says a lot about them and what they value, or maybe they missed some key factors. Maybe they more so value performance over
Exactly.
person.
And kind of going off, like, maybe he was so nonchalant because he doesn't care if you're out causing crime
you're
and things
winning.
like that, as long as you can go drop points.
Yeah.
And like, by any means, I don't think the pat down was at all appropriate. Like, I think that was a bad call on him. And yes, you can say, oh, that had no connection. I'm not going to buy that personally. But I think maybe it was his way of saying, like, pat me down all you want, I'm innocent.
Yeah.
And
Or at least even if they come to a conclusion where it's not, he's going to fight that.
Like, I get making a statement like, do all you want, I'm innocent. But I think a better way to make that statement is keep your head down, stay humble, go drop.
Just keep scoring points.
Yeah.
Go drop a bunch of points and be
Yeah.
like, look, try to charge me for that.
And it's cocky. It makes him look even worse than everybody's already thinking he is. I mean,
Kind of recently, I think in Division I, kind of just looking at what's happened at New Mexico State, I almost feel like we're starting to see NCAA athletes kind of act in a way like they're untouchable.
I think it's the NIL.
Yeah.
I don't
wouldn't
know
be
how
surprised.
much NIL is happening at New Mexico State, but from a big perspective of it, I'm sure that the NIL is contributing to this ability to walk like, feel like you can walk on water.
Well, and I think when NIL was kind of coming about, some concerns were like, what differentiates a student athlete from a professional athlete? What makes them not just be a professional athlete at that same point? And I believe like a lot of professional athletes think that they walk on water and the rules don't apply for them. And is this starting to trickle down to Division I athletics?
Yep.
I mean, he can give one of his friends a gun to go kill a lady and still get to go play basketball like nothing happened.
Yeah. Which I don't know if it was. What I've read is that it was Miles' gun. Brandon Miller just brought it to the scene. I don't think it was Brandon Miller's, like in his name, his gun, whatever. But you're still associated with that. I did see somewhere that the pat down was a consistent thing throughout the season, so it wasn't like planned for, oh, my name was brought up in court this week for this, now I'm gonna get patted down. But I do think, I mean he is a freshman, so we got to give him that. Maybe he wasn't putting together like, oh, my normal handshake I do for intros might not have a great look about it this week.
Maybe we should dab each other up this week.
But I will say that Coach Oates, his perspective did get a little bit more strict because he was asked about his feelings on the introductions and he said, no, not again. So he's tightened up on his.
Maybe he's like, I gotta get a hold on these boys before anything else happens.
He said that they addressed it and everything, and it's not gonna happen.
I mean,
again.
and that's what you would hope a staff would do with circumstances considering.
Yeah.
This all of this mess in basketball right now happening, like New Mexico State, Alabama, it's reminding me a lot of the 2008 Florida football team, and I don't feel like we've seen a lot of that type of thing in basketball. And I think that's, I mean, it's not good, but it's definitely interesting to see.
This is
like,
Division I basketball scandal.
Yes.
Florida can take football scandal.
Florida can take football
This
scandal.
is basketball.
Yeah.
They're going to have more than half of their team arrested at this point, but basketball's got something else coming.
Let them have their moment.
Yeah. And I mean, Alabama's had a good season, and they have a good future ahead of them in the coming month. And I'll be excited to see what they do. But this goes back to, like, coaching-wise, who you're willing to put next to your name. Or
Yeah, what are your moral values? Like,
Yeah.
what do you hold true to yourself?
How do you think this changes the atmosphere in the locker room? Or do you think they've been dealing with for so long, it's like, we already knew this was coming, like...
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, there's always going to be people that are going to take sides with...
Bro, why would you do that?
Yeah, and other people that are going to be like, oh, bro, like, you were looking out for him, yeah.
My boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was crazy.
That's going to be the promo clip.
That was wild. Anyways, but I definitely think that it could go half and half. I mean...
you know your teammates, you know, like, you know who they are as people, probably more so than the coaches know them. So I bet that some people might not have been too surprised that all this
some
happened.
people have just been waiting for it. Like, oh, man, yeah.
Only a matter of time.
Miles just murdered somebody, yep.
Oh, saw that one coming.
Yeah, saw it.
That's awful.
It was about time.
That's Kia.
All right.
Cut
All right. Well, we're gonna move past that topic.
no
and
more.
Cut that.
Murder.
we've kind of had some requests from people saying how, like talking about in NBA All-Star Weekend last week, how they would have liked to know that it was coming so they could have made it a point to watch. So kind of about of our podcast, we're kind of like your best friend's guide to sports. So we kind of want to give a rundown on March Madness and kind of break down how it works, how seedings happen. And so Hannah Page over here is our little basketball queen,
Yes,
lives and breathes
she does
it.
that
So
one.
I'm going to let you take it away.
This is my favorite time of the year, more so than Christmas and summer and Thanksgiving. This is my holiday. This is my everything. Like from the time that I can't remember, young, my dad would bring home a projector from the school. So we'd have our flat screen going with one game on, and then he would have a projector on the wall with the sheet so he could have 2 games on, and then normally like an iPad or a laptop set up so we can sit and watch 3 at once.
If you come to the Davis Page household in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
everywhere. We will
Yeah.
have a bracket.
Kinzie and I have been trying to figure out how we could get her TV in the living room so we can have our living room TV going and Kinzie's TV so we can at least watch 2 games. Maybe we can have this iPad here.
iPad, laptops.
Yeah.
Maybe we get a projector.
Yeah, I get fired up about this. So now that it is getting close, we're filming this on the last day of February, so March officially starts tomorrow.
Of course, yes.
Kia's birthday.
Yes, of course it starts tomorrow.
Not to be confused with Justin Bieber's birthday.
Not to be confused, and if you confuse it, get out. I'm sick. Golly,
Rookie
bro.
mistake.
A rookie mistake. And, yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so usually what happens is now all the D1 schools, there's 32 D1 conferences, and they've all been playing conference. They've all been playing each other. And now conference champions will soon be crowned if they're not already outright. And there will be a conference tournament in all of these conferences at all different locations. Everybody runs it differently. Some just do like a neutral site. Some will do like a high seed host kind of a thing. So now everyone will go to their conference tournament. The winner of each of these conference tournaments, so there'll be 32 winners, they will receive an automatic bid to the national tournament. Okay, so there'll be 32 bids gone. Those, when this airs, will be Friday. So those conference tournaments will start second week of March. So about some start I think as early as the 4th, and then they'll kind of start going 8th, 9th, 10th that weekend. Is when a lot of them happen. So be on the lookout for those. Watch those conference tournaments. They're really exciting. Sometimes the conference champion does not always win the conference tournament.
Yes.
And then they usually end up getting a bid anyways, but they lose out on that automatic bid that the conference tournament holds. So there's 32 spots gone at the end of the conference tournaments, and then there will be 36 spots left. So after the conference tournaments wrap up, Selection Sunday happens. So there's a selection committee where I'm pretty sure people are nominated to be on it. They serve like a 5-year or something, kind of a time period on there. And there's criteria. They look at strength of schedule. They look at kind of how you've done in the past, how you did this season, how you did. And so
Records,
now all these are kind of done by at-large. These are called at-large bids. So there's the automatic 32 from the conference champions or tournament champions. Then there's the 36 at-large.
So you have 4 at-large bids.
36.
Oh, so okay,
30.
so you have 32 people,
Yes.
and then okay, just
32
to clarify.
from the conference.
Gotcha.
Yeah, got you.
Hannah, 36.
So, wait, no. Yes, no.
So how many teams total are in the tournament?
You get to 68.
Okay. So 32 automatic from the tournament.
Yes.
And then 36 at
Yes.
large. Okay.
So you get 68. So Selection Sunday, there'll be 68 teams. Once Selection Sunday's over, which this year is on March 12th. If you're at in a university town whose team might get picked, they have big watch parties. I'm from Lubbock, and they'll do big ones at like 4 Golf and stuff like that. Sometimes communities
Perhaps not this year,
and
but
yeah, we'll see. TBD on that one.
Hoping for
But
the best.
the Selection Sunday is really fun. All over social media, you'll see teams' reactions to being selected.
those are my favorite.
Yes.
I love those.
I love like the teams that are kind of like wild cards in a way
Yes.
that like no one expected them to get in, or like maybe it's a first time in program histories. Like I
Yeah.
love getting to watch those reaction videos, how hyped and excited they get.
Yes, and they'll be hugging, crying on the floor, just because you're just fighting for another day,
Yeah.
you know, and then they are rewarded with that.
Survive in advance.
Yes, and so Selection Sunday will be March the 12th. And then Tuesday, Wednesday of that week will be what they call the first four. So the big bracket is 64 teams, but we have 68 teams with spots, with bids. So before the first round is played, there are 4 games, which, as I called earlier, the first 4. The winners of the first 4 then get spots, and they get to join the 64-team bracket. So then the 64 team, you go first round, second round, all that. You get to Sweet 16, you get to Elite 8.
So those
Final
first rounds,
Four.
where are they played?
First rounds, so the tournament of 64 is divided up into 4 regions. And those locations change every year. So,
Do you know the locations this year?
for this year, I do not know because I think.
Our basketball guide has failed us.
I don't know what's
Well,
going on.
no, they've got to already have it. They have it set. Yeah, but I mean, there's rules too to where like conference opponents can't play each other. They can't meet until their regional semis, maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll get
Which
into that
Makes
later
sense, so
on.
You don't have any, like, you're not playing someone 4
Yeah,
times.
you can't play someone from your conference like right off the bat in the first round. Like it takes you a while to get down to that route. But this is just, we wanted to give y'all just kind of a preface before the conference tournaments start, let you guys know to watch those and be on the lookout for those because those are really fun and exciting. You kind of got to start seeing Cinderella stories almost sometimes.
I think if you haven't been keeping up with college basketball right now, the conference tournaments is a great time to start watching because you're kind of getting to see bits and pieces of these teams. So you kind of have an idea of what to expect for the tournament.
Right. So be on the lookout for those. This second weekend of March is really when they'll get big. And I'm at the 6A, the Texas UIL state basketball tournament every weekend, that second weekend of March. And I think it's so cool because once those conference tournaments are happening all over the country, and once those teams lose, so the state basketball is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So once those teams start losing out of the tournament, those coaches get on planes and immediately head to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. So last week, we look up and, Auburn lost. The next day, we see Bruce Pearl coming down. Then the next day, Texas lost, which Austin, not a far drive for Beard. And we see Beard down there on the floor. We've seen Tom Izzo down there. So it's kind of cool, like whenever those teams, you hate to see them lose, but then you might see their coach the next day.
And you might have not seen the outcome of the game, but you see that head coach walking
You're
down,
like,
you're like,
they're out of their
what's going
tournament.
on.
They lost.
You know what's happening.
So that's cool, and I'll have to let you guys know who I see next week
yes,
when I'm there.
we want live reports, live
Yeah.
updates, please.
Please.
All right. Well, we hope that kind of helps you get ready for March Madness. I hope you guys are excited as we are because, I mean, I'm excited to cover those games here.
Yes.
And kind of talk through coaching plays.
Upsets.
And, yes, big upsets, kind of your Cinderella stories. But I think that is all that we have for episode 3 today.
Yeah. Keep sending in all ideas and everything we love to hear.
Yes, and, of course, we appreciate you listening or watching in if you're on YouTube. And catch us next week for our next episode.
Kia will be 21.
She will. She'll give us a little birthday recap.
I'll give you a recap.
Stanley,
All right.
cheers.
Stanley,
Yep.
cheers.
Close it out.